Wow.
All right, welcome to our very first podcast. I'm here with three other members of the league and three of my friends. Excuse me. Again, we apologize if this is very raw. It's our first time doing this. But let me introduce the other people here at the podcast. First is Jeremy. We all know Jets fan. Jeremy, say hi.
What's up, champion?
Jeremy was the champion of our 14-team league last year that we were all in, so I'm sure you'll hear a lot about that moving forward. And now to the inaugural champ of that league, but currently sitting in last place, 0-3, Marty L.
It's terrible. 0-3. Terrible.
All right, and now we kick it over to Matt Wilson, who also is 0-3 in the league, but he is close to winning a fantasy baseball title. Wilson, say hello.
Stat correction.
Stat correction. What do you mean by that, Wilson?
They're brutal. I hate them. They betrayed me.
Ladarius Green. He called me. I don't know what he said.
All right, we'll get into that in a little bit. We'll explain what that means. Anyway, what we're going to start off with on this episode is we're going to talk about Eddie Lacy. So Eddie Lacy, obviously we know, consensus first-round pick. I myself picked him 8th overall, which was basically the 7th overall player in the Dirty D, and that's a PPR league. He's faced 3 tough defenses. I think it's the Jets, the Seahawks, and the Lions, and he's struggled. But I've read a couple things online. Some people say that even though he struggled, they look at his measurables and they're off. Some people are saying Trent Richardson 2.0. Other people are saying he's going to break out anytime. Wilson, you're a Packers fan. What's your opinion on Eddie Lacy? Why is he struggling, and what can we look for?
I definitely do not think he is Trent Richardson 2.0. Like you mentioned, he has faced a couple of the top defenses in the league. Right now against the run, the Jets are number 1, the Lions are number 2, and Seattle's number 5. They're some of the best run defenses that he could possibly be playing, not to mention the fact that in the first game,
Is Wilson there? Is anybody else there?
I'm here. Technological difficulties.
Did we lose Wilson?
I think I may have accidentally froze him. I don't know. It's picture
All right.
there.
Well, before we get back to Wilson's opinion, who we talk? Jeremy, you brought up Eddie Lacy today, correct?
Yes, I did.
All right, tell us why'd you bring him up? What's your opinion on him?
Oh, man. T-Rich 2.0. He had a great season last year. T-Rich didn't quite have the same first season that Lacy had, but they had the same high expectations, both out of Alabama. These Alabama running backs don't really seem to do so well. Ingram finally starting to kick into gear in what's his 4th season. T-Rich has completely fallen off the face of the earth since his first year. Who knows, man? Maybe Lacy is T-Rich 2.0. I guess only time will tell. He did face some tough defense.
Marty, what do you think?
I mean, I think it's obviously way too soon to call him T-Rich 2.0. I think if you went to any other GM in the league right now, every other one of them would trade a first-round pick, even after the Trent Richardson situation, how he fizzled out for the Colts. I think anyone would give a first-round pick, and I think it's way too early to sell low. Even though Wilson wants me to in the ESPN league, it's just not going to happen.
All right, yeah, no, I agree with you guys. I think it's just a matter of time, or I guess I agree with Marty. I think it's just a matter of time before the guy bounces back. I just think that Packers offense in general is going to explode, and so I'm not worried about Eddie Lacy at all. I think you're off base, Jeremy. So anyway, next thing we wanted to talk about is Wilson back in here? Wilson, you back in here?
yeah, that sucked.
All right. Well, anyway, Jeremy said Eddie Lacy sucks and he's Trent Richardson, and Marty said that he won't trade him to you because he knows that he doesn't suck. So, what's your final opinion on Eddie Lacy?
I don't know where it cut off on my original opinion, and if I got any of that in.
You got your you ranked the defenses. You said it's way too soon.
Yeah, whether it cut off or not, I'd put the most blame on the fact that he got a concussion week 1, and Mike McCarthy's play calling has been awful. If you've watched their games and watched the stupid toss play and then try to have him run up the middle on a toss, it sucks. I hate watching it. If they fix the play calling, Lacey's game will get fixed. Also, a remedy is the Bears' run defense coming up this week.
All right. Well, major question for you, Wilson. Would you say you're a bigger Homer Packers fan or Patriots fan?
100% Packer fan, total bias.
All right, cool. Just wondering. Anyway, moving on. Well, Jeremy, you like that one?
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. I want to talk about tight ends in fantasy football. Obviously, there's been a bunch of injuries. I was listening to a couple of podcasts today, and they were talking about how valuable the top 3 tight ends are because they've been doing so well. I don't know. I mean, I think Gronk is one of those players who's starting to play more snaps. I think he's going to start getting very, highly more involved in the offense. But I just think that means it's just only a matter of time before he gets hurt. I don't know. What do you guys think about Gronk specifically and tight ends in general, Jeremy?
I mean, Gronk's cool, but like, I don't know. If he wants to get hurt again, like that's fine by me as a Jet fan. He's obviously great when he's healthy, but he can't stay healthy. And if he is hurt, is Greg Olsen the top 3 tight end? I don't know. Maybe he is. Certainly better than Pitt and Cameron.
Marty, what do you think about tight ends? Who's your tight end in the league?
Well, I traded Julius Thomas in the middle of the draft.
What did you trade? What did you trade Julius Thomas for?
A slew of picks, which turned into Kendall Wright, who has terrible Jake Locker throwing into him, Brandon Cooks, who is actually going to be good, and just another pile of garbage. Oh, Jason Witten, who has not scored, I think, above 7 points. So it's been very good. I'm pretty bitter about the situation.
All right, so at least you recognize that. Now, you said you have Jason Witten. As a Jason Witten owner, are you looking to dump him? Do you want to stick with him because he hasn't been good at all? He's never been a touchdown guy. They're a running team now, apparently, in Dallas. What do you think about Jason Witten, and do you feel comfortable rolling with him, or are you going to try to make a move, or what's your deal?
I mean, at this point, my team is so terrible that I would like to win 1 game, so that's what I'm rooting for right now. But, I mean, obviously they have Terrence Williams there. They obviously have Dez there, DeMarco there. There's so many options, and there's only one ball to go around. I think as Tony gets a little more healthy and starts to throw the ball a little bit more, Witten will get some more touches. Because right now, like you said, they are relying a lot on the run, which is good, except when DeMarco fumbles it once a game. So I do think he'll get more touches. He may not, get 6+ touchdowns, but if I can get 4 or 5 touchdowns out of him and 80 yards a week and 5 or 6 catches, I'll take that all day.
He's muted. How did he mute himself?
He hit the wrong button. Definitely.
James. Yep. You're back.
I'm back.
Yep.
I'm looking at Jason Witten from last year, and it looks like he was basically right up there with the top 5 tight ends. He was just after Jordan Cameron, believe it or not, and actually just about 14 points better than Greg Olsen. But I don't think he's going to do near as good as he did last year. He had 73 catches. He had 8 touchdowns last year. I think those drastically go down. I think Witten is someone that you should look at trading based on name. I don't know what kind of leagues you're in, but is that something that you consider?
I mean, if you're in a situation where you are a competitive team and you have other assets to be able to trade, I mean, I think you need to take advantage of it. If you could trade, Witten and get like a Kelsey or somewhere along the lines, especially if it's a keeper league, you got to do that all day if you can. Whether or not anyone else will actually make that trade with you, probably not, but wishful thinking.
Wilson, what do you think about tight ends? What's your tight end situation look like in the league, and how has it been working for you?
It's absolutely brutal. I tried to wait on tight end. I went in playing the upside of Ladarius Green, and once again, I'm blaming coaches, not myself. Couldn't be my fault. Definitely coach's fault for not getting Green involved. So I I adjusted week 2, said, all right, I'm going to go with Dwayne Allen instead. He decided to catch 0 passes that game. Thank you, Andrew Luck, for that. So this week I picked up James's trash and went with Tim Wright, and that was somehow my best week because he got me about 2 points. So it's been brutal playing that game so far this season.
I was gonna ask you about that, picking up Tim Wright, because I wasn't sure who I was gonna drop. I ended up picking up Niles Paul for 2 weeks ago, which was great because he blew up and he actually won the week for me. But with Tim Wright, was that a long-term play or was that truly just a short-term play? Because I was surprised someone picked him up so quickly. When you picked him up, I assumed it was more of a long-term play, but I don't really know.
It's kind of a mixture of both. When you're in a 14-team league and the tight ends are gone, they're on other rosters, and you're scrambling just trying to find someone to play because you don't trust the Chargers to throw the ball to Ladarius Green. I was taking the chance that, all right, the Patriots might be able to mess around with Oakland and try to get him involved. Didn't work out that way because Patriots O-line is awful. But, oh well, I definitely would agree that having those top tight ends right now is a huge advantage, especially where guys that were supposed to kind of find that next tier, whether it was Jason Witten or a guy like Kyle Rudolph who was supposed to blow up this year, just didn't happen. If you have one of those top 3, it's a difference maker.
Yep. Jeremy, do you have one of those top 3 guys anywhere? Do you have Jimmy Graham, Julius Thomas, or I know you don't have Gronk. Do you have Julius Thomas or Jimmy Graham anywhere? And I have to say too, as a Zach Ertz owner, this week it was disappointing that they had such a shootout and he didn't get much, but he was very impressive the first 2 weeks, and moving forward, I think Zach Ertz is someone who is in the conversation, is that next tier right behind those guys. But anyway, Jeremy, do you have any of those guys?
Yeah, by the way, Ertz almost caught a touchdown, so his game was a little deceiving. But, I have Julius Thomas in one league.
Cat exciting.
He's incredible. I love having him on my team. It gives me such a big advantage over the other team every week, unless I'm playing Jimmy Graham or Gronk even. But,
Nice.
This week I have to start Gates. So.
Nice. All right. Well, I want to ask you guys about a trade that happened in my other league, the Dirty D. Obviously, you guys know all the players in the league. This just happened this afternoon. So let me lay out the situation for you. Beckerman, new member of the league, he's 1-2, lost 2 games in a row. He's been very, very weak the past 2 games. He was facing a lot of buys this week. He had Pitta who went down. He had A.J. Green who's on a bye. Just a bad situation for him. But anyway, he ended up pulling off a trade. It's a 12-team PPR league, and he ended up trading A.J. Green and Mark Ingram, and in return he gets Cordarrelle Patterson, Darren Sproles, and Travis Kelce. Again, that was A.J. Green and Mark Ingram going over to the Angry Pirates, and Cordarrelle Patterson, Darren Sproles, and Travis Kelce going to Beckerman's team. So let me just let you lay it out to you. Now that Beckerman, he also has Monty Ball on a bye, Terrence West and Ben Tate on a bye, so he has all those guys on a bye. And he is starting this week Darren Sproles, Travis Kelce, and Cordarrelle Patterson. So what do you guys think about that trade?
I guess I'll take it first.
Go ahead.
I think it's definitely a reaction trade. Like it's about this week. And unfortunately, I can't give up a guy like AJ Green for the chance to win 1 week. I'd take my chances knowing that many guys are on a bye this week. That means all of those guys are not on a bye going forward. And when everybody else is working through them, he's in a decent position. I think that's selling low on AJ Green right now. And if Ingram gets back with any kind of time left in the season, he looked good in the first couple games. So I don't know. I'm personally not a fan, but I know why he did it.
Jeremy?
I actually talked to Beckerman while he was processing the trade today. So
Interesting.
I kind of tried to get into Beckerman's head a little bit before, but I had a feeling he was accepting that trade no matter what. I had a feeling, even no matter what I said. I told him I like the haul that he was getting back. I'm very high on Kelce, and I love Patterson. I don't have a problem with him getting rid of Ingram. I think at that point, Kyrie Robinson might have that spot that Ingram has. So I don't know how Ingram's going to fit in once he gets back. But I mean, I know why he did it. I don't know if I would have given up AJ for that. I think AJ is a top 3 receiver when he's playing. So I mean, it's reaction. He's a team. He had to make a change. I mean, he had a great first week, and his last 2 weeks were horrible. So.
Yep.
Marty.
Marty, what do you think about AJ Green? Who, so everybody who's listening who doesn't know, Marty actually traded me AJ Green this year, and in return I gave him Shane Green and Julius Thomas. I think it was a very good trade for both teams. Marty, what do you think about AJ Green? What do you think about that trade that Beckerman made?
Well, our trade was good until I traded Julius Thomas.
Agreed.
Pile of garbage. So, but I totally agree with Wills. I think it was an overreaction trade. I mean, everything it sounds like. I mean, yeah, you have a great first week, and then you lose the next 2. But to go ahead and trade AJ Green immediately after that, just because you're in a giant bye-week hole, I mean, obviously that's not the best situation to do. I do think Cordero Patterson is going to be huge, especially with AP out, likely for the rest of the year. I think he's going to get a lot of touches, both in the backfield and otherwise. So he's always that, big potential guy who can, put 6 on the board easily. But, I mean, is he going to have the same consistency as AJ Green? No. So, I mean, I think it's kind of a bit of an overreaction.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's as bad as maybe you guys make it seem out to be. I don't think it's really that bad of a trade. I think, to be honest, I think AJ Green's a great player, but when you're getting 2 good players in return, I mean, I know that a lot of people would rather the one better player, and I get that, but when you get 2 good players in return, AJ Green could get hurt and you would be sunk, where one of those 2 guys get hurt and you're still not that bad off. It kind of is almost like an insurance policy on some of your better players. I don't hate it. I don't think it's the best move. I wouldn't have made it, but I don't think it's as bad as maybe we're making it out to be. Anyway, I want to give each of you a chance just to talk about one roster dilemma that you either had last week. Let us know how it went or what you're facing this week. Just give you guys each a chance to talk, maybe 30 seconds about one of your teams and something you've been thinking about recently, maybe a trade that you need to make. We'll go Jeremy first, then Marty, and then Wilson, and then we'll get into some other stuff.
All right, yeah, so in this league that I hate and know nobody in, I started off 4-0. You play two matchups every week, and I lost last week both. But this week I have Julius Thomas, Wes Welker, Emmanuel Sanders, all on bye. All my Chargers got hurt. It's a brutal week. I have no bench space. Everyone's on a bye. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have to start like Riley Cooper and Mike Evans at wide receiver. It's pretty brutal this week.
All right, so what are you going to do?
I don't know. I have to start like Donald Brown and Frank Gore, who I'm not happy with. This could just be one of those weeks where I pray for like a monster game by Donald Brown or something. I'm going to need a miracle. I'm not going to make any moves like Beckerman. I'm not going to try and make a trade. I don't want to give up the long-term prospect of my other guys. So if it's one week.
Yep. Let me give you an outlook of actually I want to give you guys a look of Jenna's team in the Dirty D. So very interesting. I liked her team a lot. The first week she scored 137 points. I think she was the second best in the league or third best in the league that week. Then she followed up with a dud, 96 points, which isn't that good, and then like a super dud, which was 65 points this past week. Let me read you her roster, and and you can see the situation. She has Stafford. She has Demaryius Thomas, Andre Johnson, Gio Bernard, Danny Woodhead, Julius Thomas, Torrey Smith, Sammy Watkins, and a bunch of garbage. But anyway, her situation is that she lost Danny Woodhead. Giovanni Bernard's on a bye. She has Bernard Pearson, Sean Green on the bench. Those are her only other 2 running backs. Demaryius Thomas is on a bye. Julius Thomas is on a bye. She does have Niles Paul to put in, and then both her kicker and her defense are on a bye. So she is someone who basically is the picture of maybe should give up this week. I mean, would any of you recommend her just giving up this week and kind of just rolling with what she has? I mean, what can she do?
Yeah. Take a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like her whole team's on a bye.
I mean, short of cutting all those great players, I mean, you got to kind of give up this week, so it's not worth it.
So what does she do about the Seattle defense? She has a Seattle defense. She spent an 8th-round pick on the Seattle defense, which we'll get into another time about how much of a waste that is. But does she cut the Seattle defense? What about her kicker? She has Hushka. He hasn't been doing that well, I don't think. But, I mean, I feel like there's owners out there, and Jenna may be one of them, who doesn't want to cut Hushka. It just seems to me like she's going to have to cut a whole bunch of players just to pick up players literally just to fill her roster, and I don't know what she's going to do. I don't know.
I have Hauschka in Seattle in the Squirrels. I'm probably just going to cut Hauschka.
You're going to play him on a bye? You're going to suck it up and take 0 points?
No, I'm gonna drop Hauschka, and then I'll.
Oh, drop him. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop Hauschka for a kicker. I mean, but they're all the same. Nick Folk, Nick Novak. I don't care.
All right. All right, Marty, do you have a situation in one of your leagues you want to talk about?
Well, in the league, I've been streaming defenses very unsuccessfully. So
we have a name. We have a name for the league. If you want to use it by a proper name.
Sorry, it's Flying Squirrels. So in Flying Squirrels, I've been streaming defenses at KC in week 1, Miami in 2, and Baltimore in 3, and they've scored a combined 3 points for me. So that's obviously been.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Listen, I'm not lying to you. I've been streaming defenses for all my leagues, and I've been having crazy luck. Indianapolis scoring tons of points. Chicago you've been really streaming defenses and get 3 total points.
It's been terrible.
That's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
Miami had -3 points for me. It was terrible.
You know what? Actually, now that you say that, I want you guys to look at this while I look it up real quickly. This past week in this Flying Squirrels, as far as defense scoring goes, the most amount of points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Out of the top 11, only 3 teams are owned. So 8 of the top 11, including number 1, number 3, number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, were all free agent defenses. This was a crazy week in defense where so many free agents did well, and so many defenses everybody had scored very few amount of points. Arizona, New England, Denver, Seattle, they all had 6, 5, 4 points. So this is a really weird week with defenses.
Yeah, you're not making me feel any better about my situation. But anyways, I have Flacco. I mean, obviously I have Peyton in Squirrels, and Peyton's on a bye this week, so I have Flacco. But he's scored progressively less each week, 16, 14, 11, or 12 this past week. He's going against Carolina. Big Ben put up some decent numbers against him, but do I really feel confident that he's the guy to go to? I mean, I may have to look on the waiver wire and see what else is out there. Because I need to win against Wilson so that I'm not 0-4 because this is getting embarrassing.
All right, well, let's do this. Why don't we take a look at some of the quarterbacks that are available and see who some of your options are?
I looked at that earlier, James, because the guy I'm facing has Dalton on a bye. It's like Eli Manning. That's it.
Yeah, Eli Manning at Washington, Mike Glennon at Pittsburgh, Ryan Fitzpatrick versus Buffalo, Derek Carr versus Miami, E.J. Manuel at Houston, and that's about it.
I mean, I think that's all pretty terrible. But, I mean, I think the only one there that somewhat makes any sense, possibly, is Fitzpatrick against Buffalo. Because, I mean, he's just going to throw the ball around all over the place. And a little bit of a homecoming.
To be fair, Eli Manning has 17 and 15 points in his past 2 weeks. I know it hasn't been pretty, but against Washington, in most likely going to be a high-scoring game with bad defenses, I kind of like Eli in this situation.
There's a -% chance that I pick up Eli to join his brother Peyton. I think I would rather start Peyton on a bye than pick up Eli.
Really? Well, I smell I smell a board bet coming here. What kind of performance do you think Eli is gonna put down here tomorrow night?
At least 3 interceptions. I mean, he's just terrible. He's so bad.
So how many? I want to know how many fantasy points. Let me tell you. In the first week at Detroit, he had 6.5 points on 163 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks.
I say he scores less than 10 points.
Less than 10 points.
Over.
The over.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the over. Do you want to make a board bet on that?
I'm in.
All right, standard board bet. So everybody knows is $5 or one beer, basically. But at the end of the season, we'll add it up. I'm going to put this in the board bet. Lock that down as a victory for me, I think. But we'll check in next week with that. Wilson, what, Jeremy? What, you want to talk about the board bet you already won with Greg Olson over Dennis Pitta because Dennis Pitta's out for the season?
I mean, if you want to bring it up, we can talk about Cameron's doing well too, right? He's definitely going to beat Olsen. I was crazy for that too.
I'm not worried about Cameron. Anyway, Wilson, what's your dilemma? What's your fantasy weekly dilemma?
It goes back to tight ends in one of my other leagues. Kyle Rudolph was my guy, and that fell apart. You guys might remember before the season, I made a trade. I traded Julius Thomas and dealt him away for C.J. Spiller and Kyle Rudolph. And obviously that hasn't really worked out at this point. So now with Rudolph out, I need to find myself another tight end. And we've got 20 guys on the roster. It's 12 teams. It's a dynasty-type format. There isn't a whole heck of a lot out there. Right now the backup on my roster is Jets star Jason Amaro. And I've got to figure out how to make that work. I've got a pretty talented roster for my running backs. I've got Alfred Morris, C.J. Spiller, Lamar Miller, Carlos Hyde, Shane Vereen, LeGarrette Blount, just a bunch of guys. And then on my receiver side, I've got Calvin Johnson, Randall Cobb, Roddy White, Ruben Randall, Brian Hartline, Allen Robinson, and Kenny Britt. So from that depth, I kind of have.
Oh no.
Did we lose Wilson again? Did we lose Wilson?
Oh, moving.
Move.
I'm here.
Oh.
We lose me again?
No, we're good.
Like in the middle of my talking?
No, we got you. We got pretty close to the end. You were only cut off for a few seconds.
All right. Then yeah, that was it. That's my dilemma. I gotta go out and find a replacement because Jason Morrow is not gonna cut it.
False. Amaro. Listen, Amaro had he was targeted a lot more this week, and if you remember, the Lions in week 1 couldn't stop Larry Donnell. I mean, Jason Amaro is better than Larry Donnell. His upside is. The Jets have no one else to throw the ball, especially if Decker's out. I feel like Amaro he lined up wide a lot last night with Decker out, so I don't know. I don't think it's a crazy play if you're desperate.
Do you think Jason Morrow could get me 10 points this week?
Is it PPR?
PPR.
I don't see why not. I think he got 8 or 9 points yesterday. I think he had 3 for 50, and he dropped a wide open ball. That would have put him over 10 points.
That's what I'm worried about. I saw that shot. It's awful.
If Decker's out, I think Amaro has a good chance because they'll spread him out wide.
All right. I'll take your advice. I'll pay attention to that.
All right. We'll see how that ends up. As far as my dilemma, I don't really have many. I had a great week 3 compared to the rest of you guys. I went 4-0 in all my leagues. I'm doing great. But anyway, I guess my one dilemma is on the Flying Squirrels team. As far as my Doug Martin and Reggie Bush and Bobby Rainey situation, I really don't want to play Reggie Bush because he's playing against the Jets. I know he's still probably going to get some catches, but at the same time, I'm playing against what's probably the best team in the league right now. In Tarak's team, he has nobody on a bye, which sucks. I have A.J. Green on a bye. I have Jordan Cameron on a bye. He's also a little bit injured. And Josh Gordon's on a bye this week, believe it or not. So those are my guys on the bye. I have Doug Martin and Bobby Rainey. They're playing at Pittsburgh, so I don't really want to play both of them, even though I think they're both going to get a bunch of carries. Reggie Bush is playing at the Jets. My other option is I have 2 other interesting options on the bench. I don't know if you go with either of these guys. Carlos Hyde, obviously, who is the eventual takeover of Frank Gore sooner rather than later, I'm sure, to Jeremy's. He's not happy about that. And also I have LeGarrette Blount versus Tampa Bay. If you remember, Tampa Bay got destroyed last week by Atlanta. And so there's a good chance LeGarrette Blount could get some carries. We saw last week he went over 100 yards and got a touchdown. So do I play LeGarrette Blount or Carlos Hyde over Doug Martin, Bobby Rainey, or Reggie Bush? I need 3 of those guys to play.
I think you're starting Bush. I mean, Forte did well in the passing game, so
Yeah.
I think Bush will be used similarly. I wouldn't start. This is not a Joik Bell week. This is a Reggie Bush week. Though I've been wrong on them every week, so what do I know?
All right. What about you, Wilson? Wilson? Are you there, Wilson?
Frozen.
Not there. All right. Marty, what about you? What do you think about those running backs?
I mean, I agree with Jeremy. I think you play Bush because all it takes is one big play, and he'll have a monster day. Where I mean, I like Blunt, but of course, he's gonna do 3-4 yards at a time, unless it's a much smaller likelihood that he's gonna break a big one versus Bush.
So you guys think I should play both Bobby Rainey and Doug Martin in my lineup over either Carlos Hyde or LeGarrette Blount? I know that you guys think Reggie Bush should be in there.
I'm here now.
All right.
I don't know
Well,
what- but I'm
Wilson,
here.
I think we'll establish that Reggie Bush is probably going to be in my lineup. But do you think I should play Bobby Rainey, Doug Martin, Carlos Hyde, LeGarrette Blount? Basically, pick two.
I think the only reason that you play Rainey is if Martin's out. I think you got to take Rainey out of there. You can't play two of them.
Are you there? Does Plainville have wireless internet activity?
It's crazy. I'm so upset
There
right
you
now.
go. All right, there you are. All right.
All right.
So, what
So
do you think?
Rainey out unless Martin is out, and I'm throwing Blunt in there and playing Blunt. I don't know why they feel the need to spell Bell like they have been because Bell looks great right now, but they have been. So I think.
Well, have they been? Because I think LeGarrette Blount before last night only had 4 carries in each of the first 2 games, right?
Yeah, Bell had more significant volume for sure, but they seem intent on keeping Blunt involved, and I don't think that you can justify starting 2 Tampa running backs on any given week. There's too good of a chance that they're down 30 points and they're out of the game plan altogether.
Well, they're all playing each other, which is interesting. But the other thing too, I want to say is, I mean, I think LeGarrette Blount looks great. He destroyed it for the Patriots in the playoffs last year. I see no reason. I think they should give him the ball more. I mean, obviously, as a part owner of Le'Veon Bell, I would rather see him get 30 carries a game. But if I was the Steelers, I'd split the carries 15-15. I mean, maybe 60% Bell because he's obviously a little bit more electric, but I think Blount is a great NFL running back that should get more carries, and it doesn't translate to fantasy all the time, but
I think they keep Blunt involved because revenge game factor, always a factor.
True.
yeah, true. Wait, because they're playing in Pittsburgh. Yeah, okay, that's a good point. Actually, that makes me want to play him a lot now. I think we talked about revenge games last week with Deshaun Jackson and his 80-yard touchdown against the Eagles. And correct me if I'm wrong, is Carolina playing Baltimore this week?
Yep.
So Steve Smith Sr. is playing against the Panthers. And God have mercy on the soul of the cornerback who's going to try to cover Steve Smith Sr. in this game. Because I swear to God, he's going to get injured. Steve Smith is going to line up, catch a touchdown, take the guy down, eat his face off, spit it out, and then go kick the kickoff, I think. I don't know. I mean, revenge games are like the best, are they not?
Bath salts.
Bath salts, true. All right, well, anyway, I think we're probably at the time limit as far as if anyone even ever close to listens to this far. That'd be, I'd say, a win. Anyway, do we have any last parting words? We'll go to Jeremy, Marty, Wilson, and then myself, and we'll sign off. So go ahead, Jeremy. Parting words.
Parting words. Wilson, I just want to remind you about the stat correction at week 1. You remember that? Remember what happened?
No.
You lost a sack because your boy Big Ben.
All right,
escaped the sack.
hold on a second. Now we need to explain it. Jeremy, in 15 seconds or less, explain what happened week 1 when you played Wilson heads up in the Flying Squirrel League.
I fell asleep on Monday night. Darius Green caught a pass. I lost by half a point. Come Thursday, Big Ben escaped a Brown sack, his defense, so he lost a point, and I won by half after he taunted me. For like the first time ever, Wilson never taunts, so that was even extra awesome.
Wilson, respond.
That sucked. It was it. It sucked. Darius Green was calling long distance, phone bill's big, pretty pissed off. Like, I've got 2 losses by less than 1.5 points in 3 weeks. It sucks.
Sucks to suck. Marty?
I look forward to having my whatever defense I choose to stream this week scoring more than 3 points. I look forward to Phil Dawson not having field goals blocked by 9 defenders. And whoever I choose to play a quarterback not named Eli Manning scoring enough to let me beat Wilson.
All right, great. Well, anyway, so thank you everyone for listening to the podcast, and yeah, I guess we'll see you next week. Good luck, everyone.